And here is the headline for the secretary. Great job report. 228,000 jobs added in March, including 1,000 manufacturing jobs. Economists estimated 140. So it's good news. Of course, it's lost in all the drama. So let's talk. Trump's Labor Secretary, Lori Chavez-DeRemer. It's good to have you, Lori. Thank you, and congratulations on being named secretary.
Thank you, Chris. I'm happy to be here.
All right. So let me give you one beat on the jobs. Why do you think the economy beat estimates? What does it speak to, in your opinion?
Well, we knocked it out of the park, above expectations. Everybody was betting that the jobs numbers would be low. I can tell you people are believing what the president is saying. He is the president of the American worker, and he's proving that. Over and over again, as he has worked with us in the cabinet and talked to us, he stayed focused. And with me, every conversation has been about the American worker. How are we going to reach the middle class who's been lost for so long? You said it at the top of your monologue. Manufacturing jobs had been lost really over the last 2 decades. I've seen it, in my adult lifetime, and I can tell you we're seeing it come back. We're focused on building back in America. Repatriating these jobs, having businesses invest hundreds of billions of dollars in order to be the exporter that we need to be for American dominance in that traded sector. And we're going to need these workers to build these plants, these factories, as we move forward. We saw the numbers come in, and most of those were in the construction industry, the transportation industry, and manufacturing, where they've been lost. So we're on the right track, and what I'm going to do is get on the ground and make sure that I'm talking to these American workers. As we move through the country, I'm going to visit all 50 states. We want to see Americans at work for a reason, so that I can come back and report to the president that what he's doing is a great job, and we're going to continue down that road.
No substitute for getting out of D.C., that's for sure. Now, look, there is the economic argument that one of the reasons you overperformed as an economy with jobs is because of the rebound from the wildfires. But be that as it may, the numbers are the numbers, and they're good. The question is, did we erase the gain with the tariffs and all of the market anxiety? What do you say to people who are concerned that these tariffs are not the right way to help workers?
Well, the good news is these numbers, and you're right, they were overshadowed by people wanting to dig in and say that we've had some negativity. I can tell you this, the president is focused on protecting the American worker through these tariffs. Fair trade practices are important to the American worker as well. We want to make sure, as I mentioned earlier, onshoring, repatriating these companies to build in America, and we're going to need those workers to do so. If the economy is growing, and as you said, the numbers are the numbers, we want to erase the losses of the last administration. We want to make sure that we're building up Americans' economy. People are frustrated by what's been happening, and now they feel like they're on the right track, that they can invest. They can save more of their hard-earned dollars. Why would they be on the right track,
Secretary? Why would they be on the right track when these tariffs are depleting their 401k?
Well, listen, more jobs will stay in. Well, here's what we want to focus on, that they have a choice on their job markets, that there are more jobs available to them. I want to make sure that our American workforce is skilled and ready to go. As we see these companies build in America, these manufacturing plants, auto workers, same thing. We want to have the skilled workforce ready to go. I want to be on the ground, almost manufacturing in a box, so to say, where I have a landing team there ready to skill these workers, ready to go right behind the president, and then work with my colleagues, Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Treasury, to make sure that we are focused on that American worker. Every single day, we got to get rid of the regulations. We have to deregulate. I'm a former mayor. I understand what it's like on the ground to get these jobs. We can't wait 5, 7, 15 years for permitting. I worked on it in Congress, and I'll take that expertise right here to the Department of Labor as well.
Listen, you're not going to get any argument on regulations. I mean, some have their place, but it's hard to find people who don't think they're too much and too many. But that's fine. But two things can be true at once. You're right on the regulations. It would be great to be as obsessed with retraining workers and getting them to work with technology so they're not replaced by technology as we are with these tariffs. But that's not the choice the president made. He went all in on the tariffs. And what do you say when you get out into the country and they say, how long are we going to have to deal with these tariffs? What are you going to tell people?
Well, you saw who was in the Rose Garden. At least I hope you did. I was sitting there. I saw who was behind me. You had the Teamsters Union. You had the United Auto Workers. You had the workers of America sitting there thanking President Trump for what he is doing, and that's protecting the American worker. Listen, we're just getting started. I'm excited to be the Labor Secretary. I am focused on the positivity that we saw today, and I'm going to work hard every single day to make sure those numbers continue to grow as we rebuild the American economy.
You didn't decide the tariffs, right? This is something that was done by the president and a more insular team. But do you think that there is a chance that there can be an adjustment? If the markets continue to do what they're doing and there is no quick reapproach by our partners, I mean, this is a very broad, very deep set of tariffs. We have never seen anything like it. So then the criticism becomes too much, too fast.
Well, the president has surrounded himself with a great team. In President Trump's first administration, he imposed tariffs as well, and they were successful. We see reports now that grew the economy. It only makes sense to me that this is going to be the same. Listen, the president is not without making the best protections for the American worker. Wherever he has to make a move or pivot, it's always going to be that he's protecting us. He's finally standing up. America is waking up, finally to say, you know what, we've had enough. We're moving forward. Let's get behind the president. 77 million Americans agreed. I agree with him, and we're going to continue down that road. I can't wait to get on the road of America and prove to him and tell the stories, bring it back to Washington, and he continues to put the pedal to the metal. I really just couldn't be more honored to do it.
Do you have a when in terms of what you tell the American people when you're out there who are wondering, you know, when will jobs start coming back? When will you start retraining us? When will these tariffs make an impact? What do you tell them?
Well, I will tell them on the road this weekend, I'm going to be in Pennsylvania. I'm going to be meeting with IBEW. I'm going to be meeting with these union workers who are going to be the ones rebuilding this country. Again, we have a plan in place to get on the ground. We're already seeing the jobs come back, and now we have to double down. We have to double down and make sure that they're skilled and that we're balanced and we have a positive approach to this economy. We're just getting started. This is a good day for Americans, and I'm glad to be a part of it. We had good job numbers, and I'll be back next month, and I'm looking forward to announcing more great numbers.
Secretary, I appreciate your perspective and your ambition in getting out on the road. I got an offer for you. When you're out there, if you're talking to people and you believe that there's a story that Americans are not aware of because the media is too tight in its focus, reach out, let me know. I'll have you on from anywhere you are to tell my audience something that they don't know.
That sounds amazing, Chris. Americans at work. Take a look. Keep an eye on us. I'll be back to tell the story.
All right. Labor Secretary, thank you very much, and good luck doing the work of the people.
Thanks, Chris.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.